now we're happy to welcome back Pete Hoekstra, who last time was here running for governor. Now you're running for Senate. It's great to see you.
It's good to be back. Thank you.
So why did you decide to run for Senate this time?
Well, when you really took a look at, and when I took a look at what was going on in Washington, the policies of this administration, the voting record of Debbie Stabenow, and the results that it's having for the people of Michigan, you know, a high unemployment rate, really a devastating jobs economy for our kids, especially those kids, you know, between 20 and 30 years old. It's kind of like, you know, I think I can make a difference. I think I can win this race, and I think I can be the next U.S. Senator.
We just heard from Randy Heckman, who talked about, he said he was a friend of yours, and you had talked, and you told him you were not going to run, which is why he got into the race. What made you change your mind?
Well, you know, we came out of the governor's race, and physically we were exhausted. We were then transitioning from Congress into the private sector, so it was you know, there were a lot of things going on in our lives, my wife and myself and our family. And, you know, people said, you know, Pete, you got to start running for Senate, you know, right now. And it's like, no, we're going to hold off, we're going to hold back. And then, you know, you start taking a look at everything that's going on. And you had people from across the state, a grassroots effort, you know, grassroots, you know, folks just saying, Pete, please do this. We need to win this seat. We think you're the person that can beat Debbie, and we like your policies, and you ran a great race for governor. You didn't win, but you came in second, and, you know, we got to know you across the state, and we liked you. But, you know, and at the end of the day, it has to be, were Diane and I willing to commit, you know, the next 7 years to running a Senate race and then serving in the U.S. Senate? And as we reflected back on it, the answer was yes.
What separates you from Clark Durant and Randy Heckman?
Well, I think, you know, we're focused, and we don't spend a lot of time focusing on, you know, the other Republicans. And, you know, there's so much.
Voters will be.
Sure, well, but there's so much that we agree on in terms of policy and those types of things. You know, I think my unique background is, you know, I come out of the private sector. I spent 15 years working at a Fortune 500 company, and when I left and went to Congress, I was an executive at that company. I've served, you know, in Congress, and I think I've got a very good, you know, track record in terms of making tough decisions, but most importantly, getting things done, getting solutions done, whether it's, you know, investigating the Teamsters and removing a corrupt leadership from the Teamsters, whether it's, you know, being given the assignment by the Speaker of the House to say, you know, Pete, we need you to lead the effort to restructure the intelligence community. We know it failed, you know, miserably on 9/11. You know, it needs to be restructured. I took that effort on and got it done.
What would be the very first thing you would do if you're successful ultimately and you beat Debbie Stabenow in November? What would be the very first thing you would do?
Well, I think the first thing that we would do is start reaching out to my Republican colleagues, but also the Democratic colleagues in the new U.S. Senate. We would do that on November 7. You would start working the day after the election, because we've got a lot of issues that need to be dealt with to get this economy moving, you know, to start dealing with the debt, the deficit, Obamacare, and to start taking advantage of the energy opportunities to become energy independent in this country. So it's building those relationships in the U.S. Senate so that you can be effective on day one when you hit the ground running on January 3.
You are leading in most polls that are taking place substantially. The Free Press had a poll, and I think you were up by, what, 30 points this past week here. Regardless of that, it's going to take a lot of money to beat Debbie Stabenow if you are successful in the primary. Do you have the wherewithal to raise the kind of money you will need to take her on?
Oh, I think so. I think, you know, it's not matching her dollar for dollar. You know, we're going to hold her accountable for her record. You know, it's voting for a stimulus package that didn't create any jobs. It's holding her accountable for Obamacare, which I think is going to destroy the health care, and then putting forward another alternative agenda to what her record is to what I would get done.
Pete, you ran a commercial during the Super Bowl, which got a lot of attention and it was China bashing. It talked about Stabenow, things that she had done, and it was sort of derogatory. Many people were very upset about the commercial. Do you regret running that commercial?
It didn't work out the way that we wanted to. We learned from it. Part of it was we were not effective enough in explaining. It wasn't China bashing. It was U.S. bashing, saying the mistakes that we're making.
Derogatory stereotypes, if you will.
Well, but, you know, whatever. The bottom line on this is it was talking about the decisions that America was making, the decisions that were being made in the U.S. Senate on spending, on trade, were weakening America's economy, having, you know, a negative effect on jobs in Michigan. So, yeah, would I do the creative different? Absolutely. But, you know, in terms of saying, decisions that we make in Washington, and they have consequences. And so we have to deal with those, and we have to address them, and we need to make better decisions.
As I've given all the candidates this morning, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to look at the camera and tell somebody at home why they should vote for you.
Well, I think, you're going to have someone, if I'm your next senator, you're going to have the opportunity to send someone to Washington who's going to be focused on getting solutions, focused on getting things done, and empowering you and moving responsibility back from Washington, back to your family and you as individuals. And, the future is so bright. Let's get government out of the way and let's get moving.
Pete Hoekstra, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you taking time out to be here, and we'll be watching to see what happens there and all that sort of stuff. So keep it right here. We're going to talk a little bit more about the race and what it means for November right after this.